Well everybody, time for a sit down and a bit of a talk. There is so much that now I'm going to be free to move on to next. This area here will be the saloon area. Underneath this side of the seating is going to be the house batteries. You can see here there are two through-hole fittings. Now I'll be able to fit those ball valves. In the build phase, I already fitted things anticipating the fit out. This is a Dorade vent through hole, and that's a 16 switch control panel, which I think should be enough. I have quite a bit of gear all ready to be put in place. I just wanted to take a couple of minutes to say a few things before we get started. First of all, I want to make a special mention to my Patreon patrons. This has just been fantastic to get some support from people from all different places around. So a special sing out to Bro Rob, US Anti-Goon, Brett, Brad, Chad, Christian, Dave, David. I really thank you for your what is early support and faith in what I'm up to with Mistress. The next thing I wanted to do was send a special thanks out to those people that have been kind enough to hop onto the paypal.me and send a bit of kindness and support my way. So that's Justin, Paige, and a very special shout out to Tony Smith and to Malula Mark. You guys are awesome. With last week's video, episode 43, probably most people noticed how I have one drill and it's a bit painful having to change from drill bit to posi drive, etc. Some people started making comments, and in particular, Tony just jumped forward, threw some dollars my way, advising me get a second drill for obviously very good reasons. I decided to send out a request, as some of you may have seen, and Malula Mark has just stepped forward, met that little request, and so I can say, as of now, I do have a second drill and that will make things a lot better and speed things up. As anybody with brushless tools knows, this is only part of the equation. You need batteries or a battery and a charger. I've actually been fortunate enough to arrange to get a used battery and charger at no cost. This is fantastic news, and again, thank you very much to Tony and to Mark. All of the bulkheads are in, and it really is a great sense of achievement, I must say. But more than that, I feel now released to launch into the next phases. Exciting times ahead, because the significance of having all these main bulkheads in is that now the boat's divided up into rooms, if you like, spaces. It's all divided up into the spaces with which I'm going to be fitting out these areas with the different things that I want in the boat. It's also exciting as well, because there's so much that as yet is not anywhere near finalised. So the creativity, options and the ideas that need to be put into arriving at what I'm going to be doing finally, there's much that is unknown at this point in time. The other exciting thing is that now that these main bulkheads are in, there's lots of little things that I can do now. For example, the through-hole fittings can be fitted before I put the lining in. All of the electrical wiring needs to be run. I can work on one space at a time, put my ideas into solving all the little problems that'll no doubt come up. Also, one thing that needs to be done is trimming for all of the edges of these main bulkheads. They're going to be capped in the New Guinea rosewood. There's just so many things now that I'm going to be free to be doing. I'll be more than happy to hear what people have to say, whether you've got great ideas or suggestions or experience doing things along the way. Feel free to comment and let me know your thoughts. What I'll do now is get the camera and just walk around, and I'll explain some things along the way which now will probably make a lot more sense. I had put a lot of work into the main construction build phase, whereby I was anticipating the fit out, and so there's quite a few things that have already been done in anticipation for this fit out stage. To just start up forward, for those who haven't seen, I guess there's many people that already have. However, this is the V-berth. That needs to have all its cabinetry fitted out both sides. And now we're looking aft. There's bulkheads in. I like the look of that. This area here will be the saloon area. It's going to have a U-shaped seating area, and the table will hang off this mast step. Underneath the seating will be approximately 300 litres of freshwater storage. Over to the starboard area, between that bulkhead and this V-berth bulkhead will be quite a wide seating area which will double as a bunk and a sea berth at that. And this will also have approximately 300 waters of water storage underneath the seating. Behind those bulkheads and inside there is the heads, the toilet, shower, etc. Here's the saloon dining area looking from the other way. And as I say, there'll be a U-shaped seating area around there, and the water storage underneath. Also to mention, underneath this side of the seating is going to be the house batteries. I'll build some framing in here that will be strong enough to support the batteries. On the other side of this bulkhead is the galley area, and this will obviously have a lot to it, as most galleys do. Off this bulkhead will be the stove cooker. It has 4 jets and an oven, and it is LPG or propane. Then there will be bench space which is in a U shape. The reason for that is it's nice to be able to nestle yourself in when at sea so that you don't get knocked around when underway. There'll be overhead cupboards, of course, and there will also be 2 sinks. On the other side of this bulkhead, in this space here, is going to be bench space, and underneath will be fridge freezer. It's a bit dark in the heads, sorry about that, I don't have a light rigged up inside. But to mention, there'll be a shower hanging off of there. There'll be a sink back in this area, and the toilet itself will sit in here. And up above I will have a holding tank built in. And then on the other side of this bulkhead, separating the heads, and also the mains electrical control panel area, there'll be a small bench seating off of this bulkhead, and otherwise all the navigation gear, communications, all the electrical gear will be in there. Behind that bulkhead there's going to be a single berth which will actually fit onto this bulkhead and run all the way aft. It's a bit dark to see what's going on back there at the moment. I need to get some light back there. Cabin number 2, which will actually have a queen size berth back in this space here, will actually be separated because, as I mentioned, there'll be a fridge freezer area here. So there is going to be another small bulkhead off of this frame here, and above, to separate that cabin area off of this beam here, I'm just going to have a small overhead piece of plywood to create a door head. Obviously there'll be much nicer steps leading down to the cabin sole, and this is obviously just temporary. This will have a nice set of steps made of timber and also panels that will be removable in order to access the engine. You can see here there are 2 through-hole fittings. They're actually welded onto the hull plating. Now I'll be able to fit those ball valves to tick that off the list. I also mentioned that in the build phase I already fitted things anticipating the fit out. So what we have here is, this is a Dorade vent through hole. There's 5 of those throughout the boat. You can see this fitting here. That's actually for the masthead wiring to go up into the mast. The coaming is already in for all of the hatches. This will be trimmed with the New Guinea rosewood. The cleats that you can see there, there's 3. 1, 2, 3. Because this space here doesn't have framing going down, I welded cleats there, and the idea is that I will be putting in some solid timber rosewood with which I'll be able to fit the lining onto, and that will serve a couple of purposes. It will stiffen the hull itself and just help reduce that booming that can sometimes happen when you're crashing into the headwinds. And the other thing is, as I mentioned, it will mean that it provides another fitting area to lay lining onto, and also provide another solid bit of timber for fitting out the cabinetry. There's more of those throughout the boat, as you can see in this section and also in this section, and the same in the heads area, a copy of 3 in each section. There's 8 of the portholes, the frames, the hinges, for those that will be opening. The windows are already in there as well. I'll be starting to fit those soon. So there's a lot of exciting things coming up, and there's a heck of a lot of work to do yet, and hopefully good viewing for you too. One thing that I can do is start running the electrical wiring. I have the control panel. It's a Blue Sea panel, aluminium, quite heavy actually. And that's a 16 switch control panel, which I think should be enough. Also to mention that Mistress will be 12 volt run only. I'm not going to have a parallel 240 volt system in Mistress. 12 volt for me is enough. So things like this mean that I can start building the cabinetry to house things like this. I thought I'd also just make mention of, this is just one example. This is a Dorade vent box, and with the cowling. I made the box, I bought the cowlings. This is something that I did years ago, and behind me, right up in the lazarette there, I have boxes of gear that are for Mistress that I've had for years, and they've all been patiently waiting to be installed and put in place and be put to use. So as I say, it's really opened up a very exciting phase for me now. I just thought I would give you a bit of an overview, be able to walk you through so that you can visualize a bit more of where I'm going and where I'm heading. If you have any questions about any of the areas or anything at all really, feel free to leave comments and feel free to quiz me, ask me questions. I'll do my best to answer. So there's a bit of an overview of the inside of Mistress. Hopefully you can visualize things a bit easier now. Thanks everybody, have a good week, bye for now. So tune in next week everybody, where I've made some decisions. I have arrived at a couple of directions really, and the good work resumes. My wiring cabling tube arrived. Please like, subscribe, hit that bell and share. I'd really appreciate that.